JBN, we keep you informed. Missing teen among four arrested following gun seizure in St. James. The police are reporting that a teenager who reportedly went missing from her house in Old Harbour, St. Catherine in April was one of four persons arrested in connection with the seizure of a firearm in the New Ramble district, St. James, on Monday. The police say the 15-year-old girl, whose identity has been withheld, was reportedly found at a house in the community at which the police and military personnel conducted an operation about 7 a.m. Three other persons, all males, were also arrested during the operation that saw the seizure of an Intratec submachine gun and the 3 9mm rounds of ammunition. The four remain in police custody as investigations continue. Clarendon Death Squad cops freed of murder. A 7-member jury has found Detective Corporal Kevin Adams and Constable Jerome White not guilty of the 2012 murder of Anthony Toby Trout. The jury returned the verdict after less than an hour after retiring for deliberations at 2:20 p.m. During the trial, which began on May 13, the prosecution had evidence that the policeman shot and killed Trout in cold blood in the area called Racetrack in Clarendon on February 13, 2012. The cops, who did not deny opening fire on the deceased in unsworn statements last week, insisted that they acted in self-defense, claiming that Trout fired at them first. Adams and White were among 13 cops from the Clarendon Police Division who were in 2014 charged by the Independent Commission of Investigations for allegedly carrying out extrajudicial killings as part of a so-called death squad based in the parish. Adams was acquitted of a murder charge in January, but is awaiting trial for the killing of Edith Washington at the Mapen Hospital on January 14, 2013. He is also to face another court case. Raped victims turned away from hospital. The chief executive officers of two of Jamaica's public hospitals have launched independent probes to ascertain why a mother and her two teenage daughters were turned away from one hospital and denied attention for hours at another after being brutally raped. The mother and her two daughters were each raped by gunmen who broke into their house 2 Fridays ago. The females were first escorted by the police to the Mapen Hospital because the facility was deemed to be closest to the St. Catherine community where the horrific crime was committed. However, on reaching the hospital, it is alleged that the police officers were instructed by the doctors on duty to take the victims to the Spanish Town Hospital since the incident happened in St. Catherine. On reaching the Spanish Town Hospital shortly before 2 a.m. Saturday, the police were allegedly blasted by the doctors in the A&E department for taking in the victims at that hour. A rape kit exam was not done until more than 6 hours after. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said he has since asked the CEO of Mapen Hospital to investigate the matter after a doctor brought it to his attention. We have a protocol that gives not only treatment, of course, to victims generally, but priority treatment to victims of rape and carnal abuse and that sort of thing. They get priority treatment, meaning they are not allowed to wait, Tufton said. CEO of the Mapen Hospital, St. Andrade Sinclair, said that sending the victims to Spanish Town Hospital was a judgment call made by the doctors based on various circumstances. Spanish Town is an advanced hospital. It is a Category B, we're a Category C. So they would have gotten more advanced treatment there. You would have more doctors, more nurses, more everybody. Remember, we are under siege down here, and maybe it was only 2 doctors serving an entire NE, he said, following investigations. It could be a situation where my doctor is under pressure and don't have the human resource to deal with it. There could be a number of different things, he said. The CEO said his investigations indicate that the doctors and the police officers came to an amicable agreement to take the victims to the Spanish Town Hospital because the police only had 1 rape kit with them and the hospital didn't store any. Although police officers generally receive rape kits at the police station, some hospitals do have them in storage. I get to understand that this was an arrangement with all the police and the people involved. Everybody agreed because everybody understood what was happening, he said. My doctor at my hospital, I believe he did the best thing in the interest of the patient, the police, and the investigation, and all of that because they did not have the resources to do 3 rape victims at the same time, Sinclair said. One of the police officers, when contacted, said they had no choice but to leave the hospital following their interaction with the doctors. She said one of the 2 male doctors on duty at the time was particularly insensitive. A police officer who have never encountered issues bringing rape victims to the facility in the past said they were first told that the three females could not receive medical attention because the hospital didn't have any rape kit. The cop said after disclosing where they came from to get to the hospital, the doctor told the cop that he received instructions to not treat persons from other parishes. He proceeded to tell the police officer then that he did not wish to get involved because he did not want to have to travel to St. Catherine to attend court. A nurse had already started to pre-screen the victims, but the police alleged that the doctor took the registration form and tore it up before pressing home his point that they needed to go to the Spanish Town Hospital. The police officers said they collected extra rape kits from a police station en route to the Spanish Town Hospital, where they interacted with three male doctors on duty. One, the police said, was aggressive. We went in with the three women and we told them that these women were raped and we needed assistance. And the doctor said, No, we're not doing any. You should have called before. And if you had called, we would have instructed you that at this time, it is only three of us here on the ward and we're not doing any cases. So, officer, you have to wait until tomorrow when the new shift starts, the police officer recounted. The police officer said they remained with the woman and her children, changing their posture from sitting to standing at intervals, and they stayed past their shifts to wait until the next shift of doctors started at 8 a.m. It was at this point that the females received medical attention. When contacted, CEO of Spanish Town Hospital, Dwayne Francis, said that he heard about the matter from a senior doctor and was in the process of investigating. Preliminary investigations, he said, suggested that the woman and her two daughters turned up at the hospital on their own and went to the non-emergency section early Saturday morning. As a result of this, he said the doctors were not aware that they needed emergency help. They turned up on their own and they were triaged and seen from between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, Francis said. Normally, when the police come with a case of those situations, they will go straight into the emergency room. This wasn't the case, and I don't know why they would have gone to non-urgent, said the hospital CEO. However, the police have denied that claim, saying that the three rape victims were taken to the A&E department. Head of the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse, Sissoka, Senior Superintendent Charmaine Chand, said Sissoka headquarters in Kingston is equipped with medical doctors to provide medical attention to the victims of rape. It is not so in divisions in the rural areas. The police officers have to take their victims for treatment at the hospitals or health centers, she said. They have been complaining of long waiting periods, she added. She said she was tasked to coordinate meetings with the senior officer from the Ministry of Health to see how best they can address this issue. Bearing in mind that our victims are already traumatized, every effort should be made to assist them as soon as possible, she said. Security guards arrested, charged in alleged JUTC fuel racket. Two private security guards have been arrested and charged by the police in relation to an alleged fuel racket at the state-owned Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC. In a statement yesterday, a JUTC spokesperson said the guards were held on Sunday morning during a sting operation at the bus company's Linders Road depot. The spokesperson said the operation was prompted by intelligence of a pilfering operation at the location. It was disclosed that several 5-gallon plastic bottles containing fuel were found hidden in the drainage system on the compound. The spokesperson added that the intelligence-driven operation is ongoing and is expected to bring to light the extent of the pilfering, which includes battery, fuel, and the pieces of aluminum scraps removed from the buses. According to the spokesperson, preliminary investigations after the discovery of the hidden fuel revealed that the private security guards may have been actively involved in the extraction of the fuel from the buses and are alleged to be the masterminds in the entire operations at the JUTC Linders Road depot. Port Antonio Hospital gets much-needed ambulances. Port Antonio Hospital in Portland last Wednesday received a major boost to its emergency response system thanks to the Northeast Regional Health Authority, which supplied 2 new ambulances valued at $28.4 million to the facility. This increases the hospital's fleet to 3. The ambulances were handed over by Chairman Tyrone Robinson to Alicia Gardner, Chief Executive Officer of the Port Antonio Hospital, in a brief ceremony on the compound. I am very happy for receiving 2 new ambulances. On behalf of the patients and the people of Portland, I say thanks. Port Antonio Hospital is 46 kilometers away from the nearest hospital, which is Anata Bay. and these two ambulances moving the number to 3 is a tremendous boost, and these will help us to impact the care we give to patients, Gardner said. On a daily basis, we're expected to transport patients for various reasons. As a referring hospital, we take patients out to do diagnostic procedures, and when we had one ambulance, there was a delay. And with the additions, this will be much speeded up as we care for each in a timely manner, she added. The CEO said the hospital will now be able to respond to emergencies much quicker than it was able to previously. She said there were times when the hospital has had to call on neighboring hospitals for assistance. I want to say a big thank you to our regional director, Fabia Lam, and the chairman, Mr. Tyrone Robinson, and all who have assisted us to get this fleet of 3 ambulances, Gardner said. Ambulance drivers Winston Hall and Wayne Scott were thrilled with the latest additions, which the two expect to make a significant difference. I am happy. Based on my experience over the years with only one ambulance, it is a problem with time for other patients who want to get medical care and various services. These 2 ambulances will speed up the patient care time and to get the care that they need at other facilities and for them to be transported. It is a necessity, and we're thankful, pleased, and happy for this, all said. Scott, who has been working at the hospital for 13 years, was feeling very good about the additions. There are times when we have patients to transfer, and we have to wait until the ambulance that is gone out returns before we can do the transfer. With these 2 additions, the patient will not have that wait, and it will be easier for us as we carry out our duties when the need arises. We thank them for these 2 new ones, said Scott. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.